Hello. Today, in this video, I'm going to talk about Fire Force, my love for it, and why Atsushi Okubo deserves more love in the anime and manga community. Welcome to a Mic Check Waifu Breakdown. So to start, Atsushi Okubo is the creator and writer of two series that I actually hold pretty dear to my heart, Soul Eater and Fire Force. Atsushi wrote these series with a lot of what I would call like ley lines and underlying stories that people may not always look to initially in the beginning of the show. They might not understand that this is just a seed that he planted that will grow into something more important later on in the future. And that's one of the things I love the most about any good story, especially in anime and or manga. Atsushi Okubo did that so well in both of these series. So the history of these two series start back in 2004 with Soul Eater. And in this time, we're getting all of the typical shonen tropes. You know, we get character growth, development, the power of friendship, what people hate the most, the overly loud characters, and the arguments between two of our main characters. We get that a lot in Soul Eater. But the beauty of it is the overall story. The fact that evil can come from anywhere, and that you can be almost 100% done and still take a huge step back that puts you at the beginning, all because of a little bit of carelessness. One of the best parts about Soul Eater and how Atsushi Okubo handled this series is the fact that as soon as the series starts, you're introduced to a villain that you can easily recognize. It's Jack the Ripper. So it's a series that is very much so rooted in reality that people can understand and get a grasp on. Since before you even knew what anime was, you probably heard of Jack the Ripper or something similar in another series. So we are instantly gifted with a historical presence or background at the beginning of the show. Atsushi Okubo continues to do this throughout the entire series. We're gifted with the Gorgon sisters, Ragnarok, Asura, Rasputin, and even Al Capone as some of our villains who are evil for evil's sake. And that's not where the history ends. We're even gifted with Excalibur, the mighty Excalibur that was wielded by King Arthur, which gives us a hint that King Arthur exists in this world and probably created a death scythe that was strong enough to be wielded by death itself, which is another part of the story. Where you go with this story is the fact that we start in Soul Eater in a world where humans are killing Kishins and witches in order to create weapons called death scythes that death itself uses to fight against evil and other kind of issues in the world. This isn't necessarily a Soul Eater breakdown, so I'm not going to go too much further into that. But the experience you gain from watching Soul Eater translates extremely well over to Fire Force, and you actually gain a little bit more of a reverence or loving for it because of the beauty that you see given from one show to another. Fire Force uses those seeds sown by Okubo in Soul Eater very well. We begin in Fire Force with a very big issue, a calamity. So obviously I don't think I need to say this, but I will definitely say it. This part goes into spoilers, so get ready for that. We start off in the world of Fire Force with a great calamity, explaining to us that majority of the world has gone through a great cataclysm of fire that has essentially destroyed so much of the world that it's almost unrecognizable. Even the map itself shows the world as being burnt to crisp. And in the beginning, Okubo graces us with some emblems and insignia from Soul Eater. Well, that's not where it ends. This is futuristic Japan still, but the world we knew has already been destroyed. In the world of Fire Force, you have fire users, right? They are broken up into different generations. Generation 1 being Infernals themselves, which are the main antagonists that we get in the beginning of the show. This is what the initial problem is, the Infernals. They are Generation 1 fire users. And what they essentially are is they look just like human who spontaneously combust and turn into what would look like demons. Our Generation 2 fire users are going to be our people who are in the Fire Force who can manipulate fire once it's already been created. So let's say I want to amplify the amount of fire output from a lighter, or I want to increase the combustion of bullet that is fired. Those are Generation 2 examples. Then we have Generation 3, which is like our protagonist, our main character, Shinra. Shinra is a Generation 3 fire user who can actually produce flames himself without needing any outside resource or anything like that. He shoots flames from his feet and he basically breakdances with them. Probably why I love Shinra so much. The dude's awesome. The beauty of this system actually lies in the fact that the generation itself uses fire differently. Infernals have hardened bodies and they may just use fire entirely. Generation 2, like I said, they can manipulate an already produced flame, and Generation 3 can produce their own flames. But they each do it differently. You would initially think that there's a pretty quick limit to be reached when everyone's power is fire, but Okubo's done some pretty creative things in producing different abilities, like our guy Charon, who literally, he can just take a hit from any fire source, absorb it, and then send it back out. The dude's amazing. But then you also have people who can revive the dead with fire, or even turn fire into electricity, control or tweak people's minds. There is a limitless amount of ideas you can go with this. If you look at like Avatar: The Last Airbender, firebenders were able to use lightning bending or electric bending, and those are things that are implemented into this series. You can show that he had a great love for other series as well. So back on that Calamity. The Calamity was a fire that was 250 years before we meet our protagonist. Thought to be done by the Great Soul, a deity who essentially encompasses this entire world, that our priests devote their time and love to, and that our fire soldiers, they actually use the prayers to make sure that the infernals they put to rest, their souls are not damned. That Great Calamity is the start of humans being turned into infernals, the spontaneous combustion, as well as in the most recent parts of Fire Force, we're now figuring out more about Amaterasu, which is actually an energy source for the entire continent or country. Now, I don't want to go too much into the story because I enjoy it so much that I would hate to spoil it for everyone. It feels a lot like real life, where you feel like you're being told one thing because you have to believe it and this is what you've been passed down. But you're starting to realize that maybe that was never the truth in the first place. Alright, now that's all that I've got for you today. If you want more, Polo will be doing his own version of a different video like this. And if there's more questions you have about Fire Force, or kind of like what my opinions are or anything like that, leave us a message. You know, all of our social medias, Mike Check Waifu on Twitter, Mike Check Waifu on Instagram. We have the Facebook group. Please let us know what you want to do, and also subscribe to our Patreon, because this will be a Patreon exclusive video. You'll probably just get this part out there available. Catch you later.